Hi, everyone. This is Pastor James Huenink here at First Lutheran Church. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm doing another video in our series about how to read the Bible for the first time. Today's question is all about where do you start? When you want to read the Bible, how do you start? Where is the best place to go? So we're going to start with, I think the most important thing to read is the story of Jesus. And this is why I recommend reading one of the Gospels first. You want to read the story of Jesus because the story of Jesus is the heart of Holy Scripture. And whatever else you do, Christ is the key to unlocking everything else. If you don't have the story of Jesus Christ, then you don't have anything else. So, one of the four Gospels is the place to go. I usually recommend the Gospel of Mark as the first one to read. Why the Gospel of Mark? Mark shows the story of Jesus without all of the teaching. It's an action-packed gospel about Jesus Christ. It's the shortest of the Gospels, so you read it pretty quickly. You see his miracles, his life, his death, his resurrection, and it has the most explanatory notes too. So, like the Gospel of Matthew assumes its readers understand the Old Testament. The Gospel of Mark assumes they don't. It's a gospel for Gentiles, so it explains all sorts of things like why did they do hand washing and stuff like that. After that, then you go back to the beginning. So you read the story of Jesus, and then I go to Genesis, because Genesis gives us the basics. It begins with what is creation, who is God, what are we here for? And then it's the story of the family of Jesus leading all the way up to him. The next step is Exodus chapters 1 through 20. You can skip the rest of Exodus and then skip all of Leviticus. Why? Because these are laws and rules that you don't really need to know the story of the people of God. So Exodus chapters 1 through 20 is the story of the people of God. Then skip from there to Numbers chapters 9 through 14, and then again Numbers chapters 20 through 25. It's all about the story. We want to know the history and the story of the family of Jesus. Next comes Joshua. This is the history of conquering the promised land. Then Judges, the decline after they conquer the promised land. Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. Then I would skip to another gospel, say the Gospel of Matthew. I think that is a good beginning reading plan. So why this plan? Why this as opposed to something else? The goal of this plan is to give you the story and the history of the Bible without bogging you down with difficult sections. It's the short version, still pretty long, but it's the short version of Israel's history. Once you get the basic storyline, once you understand the arc and how it all works and how it all leads to Jesus, then you can start working on the details that follow. So then you can go back and read some of the prophets, you can start reading some of the letters, you can do all sorts of things, and they're going to make a lot more sense if you know who Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are, or King David, or any of the characters in the Old Testament. And without that, you're going to get real lost if you read something like Romans or Galatians without knowing the Old Testament. You might even get lost in Matthew if you don't know the Old Testament. So that's what I would suggest. If you want to back up and hear the tips that I've already told you, we have a video that guides you through the table of contents of the Bible, looking at each of the individual books. And then I have 4 tips to keep in mind when you start reading the Bible. That's all we have for today. Thanks again. Bye.